How we doing, folks? Welcome back. Today I'm going to go over red flags if you're a man, young man, middle-aged man, old man, that you should definitely avoid. And a lot of these is coming off of my own experiences, so I'll probably give you about 4. And when it comes to dating, relationships, marriage, and red flag number 1 is daddy issues. Unless they really have done some work on themselves, you got to run from that. Studies have shown that women with daddy issues and or mommy issues, that they a lot of them have BPD, and that's borderline personality disorder. And what happens with that, in my experience, is that you usually get like love bombed at first, like the first couple months. Oh wow, I found this woman and she really gets me and really it totally understands me, and it can totally be in her feminine and just be fun, and everything you do is right. And then all of a sudden you work too much, you train too much, you want sex too much, even though they're the ones that initiate it 90% of the time, and you're sitting there left wondering. And then a lot of times I found myself like catering, like, oh, what did I do wrong, or blah blah blah, and this and that. And you sit back and you go back, and it knocks you off of your purpose. If you're a man, like I said, young, middle-aged, or old, and you're on your purpose, it can totally knock you off. And you got to be very aware of who you invite in your life. And I've learned this the hard way. Thank God I did not marry it, but you got to be aware of that. And 2 is the hardcore feminist. And back to the borderline personality disorder, my experience is I'd have one that was totally in her feminine and everything else, and then boom, just like that, would switch and be like angry feminist, saying things that I didn't say, trying to tell me what I was thinking, for fuck's sake. And it just all does, like, we want peace. If you're out there, if you're hitting the gym in the morning, you're working your 10-12 hour days, you're finding a side gig, you're building a company, you're building something, which is what we're supposed to do, it can sidetrack you from that. The dyed hair and the tattoos and the piercings. Now, I'm not talking about a few little tattoos here or some other piercings and stuff here. I'm talking about like the gnarly self-mutilation. And I know if you're an older cat like me, and if women in their mid-30s to 40s, yeah, they usually do dye their hair. But I'm talking about the weird green, purple, blue, red hair, screaming for attention. Look at me, but I don't want attention. Stay away from those chicks. Keep them as a plate to spin. Keep them as a friend with benefits, or just keep them away. 3, entitlement. You got like the ones that are entitled, that they think that they can just bring themselves to the table and that's all they have to do. You got to stay away. Trust me. And these ones you can spot right off the bat. They're the ones that when you're bringing them out on a date, they take a picture of the food or the drinks, but they won't take any any pictures of you there. Just you're not her first choice. Her first choice will probably change quite a bit. And then these ones often want to come back because they usually go out and find some other guy, find out he's not as good as you, or he just uses her and dumps her, and then they want to come back and you be the backup plan. And fuck that. You don't want to be anybody's backup plan. You want a chick that has burning desire for you, genuine burning desire for you. You got to stay away from that. The boss bitches, and a lot of these ones too, I really curious what their bank accounts look like anyways. Probably in the negative, most of them, but who knows? That's a different story. Addiction is one thing, but if they're actually getting help and doing what they're supposed to be doing. But that again, these are problems that you didn't create, so they're not your problems to fix. As men, we're busy. There's constantly things we want to fix, things we want to build things, and those are just problems that we cannot fix. And if you try to fix them, there'll be other problems, there'll be other boxes to check, and next thing you know, whatever you do is not going to be good enough. You have to set boundaries as a man. You know, women can set boundaries and they're called empowered, but when a man sets boundaries, he's called insecure. So, you know, stay on your purpose and, you know, stick to your training, stick to your work, stick to whatever purpose, whatever future, whatever you're looking for. You know, set those small goals, you know, and small goals will turn into big goals, but don't be aware of who you invite in your life. If you're married to one, I would talk to an attorney or something to see what you can do so you don't get, you know, crushed in a divorce. Been down that road before. You know, but you just, you know, find a woman that has those green flags. I'll do a video on that one later, but those are red flags you definitely want to avoid. You want to avoid the ones with daddy issues. You want to avoid, you know, which can lead to BPD. And I'm not saying that's, you know, I'm sure someone's going to tell me about the exception to the rule, but the exception does not break the rule. So, you know, the angry feminist, you know, stay away from them. You know, the dyed hair, the tattoos, the piercings, the self-mutilating. Yeah, stay the fuck away from that, man. Do yourself that solid. Do yourself, you know, that favor, you know, and you know, it's your future self will thank you later. You know, trust me, your future self will definitely thank you later. Remember, gentlemen, winners learn, they don't lose. All right, stay humble, stay strong, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.